Welcome cloud gamers to another Stadia news video, but I want to start this by saying here at the Cloud Gaming X family, know that I feel very blessed to have gotten to know many of you, either through the comments or our Discord, where we truly have a great Stadia community and Cloud Gaming X family. So with that said, continue to practice good habits to keep your guys' self safe, as this is definitely a crazy world we're in. And we here as a group are here for you guys. So feel free to join our Discord and chat us up about life or anything you want. Even feel like if you want to DM me, that is cool. But let's talk about what's happened in the world of Stadia. As yesterday, we got quite a bit of juicy info to sink our teeth into. While none of it was extremely game-breaking, like hearing about when the free base model launches, there was definitely a lot of exciting news. So let's dive into this video. So in this video, we'll be covering the news that came out of the Google for Games Developer Summits, and it ranges from Stadia partnering with Splash Damage to come up with an unannounced exclusive, a new program designed to make it easier for indie developers to publish and make games on Stadia, updated information on new publishers and developers already working with Stadia, and more information on features that we have yet to see, as well as my final thoughts on the Google for Games Developer Summit. But let's get this video started with, in my opinion, the biggest news of the day, and that is none other than the partnership with Splash Damage. Now, if you're unfamiliar with who Splash Damage is, they've worked on titles like Brink, Dirty Bomb, as well as Microsoft on Gears Tactic, and most recently the multiplayer mode for Gears 5. If you're noticing a theme here, that might be a good thing. Splash Damage is very familiar with making multiplayer first-person shooters. Now, we don't know what the game is in the works with Stadia, but this is about as safe as a bet that we can probably make. Now, Aaron Hoffman had to say this.
In the coming months, we'll be sharing more about the game we've been working on together, and we're so excited to see how it comes to life exclusively on Stadia.
So in the coming month, we're about to hear about a big Stadia exclusive that will be coming in the future, and I have to say this is exactly what they've needed, would be an understatement. Now, I've gone on record to say, to the dismay of many, that Stadia needs a possible battle royale game like a Fortnite type that actually showcases the power of this platform. For example, with hundreds of players in one server at once, and is also easily accessible for the masses to jump in and play very simply, and is also extremely mobile friendly. Now, I don't know if this is what they are working on, but that is what I would do if I were the Stadia team, even if I don't personally like those games myself. Either way, the excellent part here is we're going to hear news about this in the upcoming months, and this has the potential to be something pretty huge. So I'll be bringing that news when I hear more, and I'd personally like your thoughts in the comments on which game you think they could be working on. But now moving on to the next piece of news. This actually had me just as excited as the first piece. As you guys know, I'm a huge advocate for indie game developers and publishers, and that is that Stadia has announced a new program called Stadia Makers, a self-publishing program designed to help indie game developers bring their games over to Stadia in a much easier light. Now, Stadia Makers comes with 3 added benefits that will help the indie game developers, starting with a partnership with Unity that can help bring the games over to Stadia. Specifically, they can get technical assistance from the Unity team. On top of that, the other benefit is Stadia will help provide funding to offset some of the costs of porting over their games, and to top it off, it will provide up to 5 developmental kits. Aaron also goes on to say when they first were launching Stadia, they couldn't work with all the developers they wanted due to the high demand of wanting to bring their game over. Now that they are months down the road, they are able to work with a lot more developers to port their games over or create new ones. Now, the requirements are the game developers be experienced and are able to use Unity 2019.3. And she also mentions that there will be a limited amount of space for developers to join. Either way, as a huge indie game supporter, I was not only thrilled, but excited to see this, as the ability to offset some of the cost and get so much support really got me enthused for the future of indie games on this platform. Indie games are the titles that really fill up that space in between the big AAA games, and to see a program like this will only make it that much easier to get your games on here. So once again, great job Google and the Stadia team, and I'm beyond hopeful for what we see with indie titles in the future. But the next piece of news is going to be a small breakdown of what I saw on this screenshot of Aaron and all the developers and publishers that have worked with Stadia or will be in the future. And I have to say, we have some decent information to pull from this. The first thing I noticed missing from this list is Capcom. They are missing. If you look at the screenshot of Phil Harrison and look at this new one with Aaron, you can see it's no longer there. What this actually means though, I don't know, but it's easy to speculate, and obviously this is not exciting news. But the good news is, a lot of new developers and publishers on this list were unknown to me. There is a big variety of excellent indie titles, and bigger titles like IO Interactive with Hitman. Then we have Curve Digital, who was one of my favorite publishers of the year last year, with titles such as American Fugitive and A Knight's Quest, two games that came out last year that I covered. There's also notable mentions here like Matt Makes Games with Celeste, one of the best indie titles ever made, period. And then we have Behavior Interactive with Dead by Daylight. There's even small publishers like Forever Entertainment, who creates a variety of cheaper but quality indie titles, as I covered over a dozen of those last year. So when I started to look at this list, to say that my mind was blown would be an understatement. I honestly feel that Stadia is headed towards that Nintendo Switch trajectory, where they will be taking quite a bit of few indie games and bigger titles from the past and the future, and really filling up this library in the years to come. And frankly, I think it's the right move for the long term. So kudos yet again to Google for getting so much support from so many publishers and developers, and continuing to grow this platform with excellent titles in the future. And the last piece of news for this video is information that came out about features that we have yet to see, like crowd play, crowd choice, state share, and click to play. Now, Aaron had mentioned how the Stadia team has given the API to developers for crowd play the last few months for them to be tested on their games, and crowd play is the ability to hit a button and play with your favorite content creator. Also to know, in a different presentation, the example used in the video was for people to join the streamer while they are playing a battle royale game and join their specific server. So I thought that was very interesting. There is also a click to play feature where you can create links in social media, like the example here on Twitter, where you can create a link for someone to launch a game directly from their phone or browser and start playing right away. Then there is crowd choice, which allows the streamers to create live voting polls that can change the game in a variety of ways, like narrative choices in a game or actions to take. And I know this will be used in Baldur's Gate at the end of the year. And I also saw a brief mention of State Share, a feature we've known about in which you can play off your content creator's last save file and hit the same scenario they left it off at. So as a content creator, my eyes light up on all these possibilities. And you'll definitely see me launch a new Let's Play channel down the line just to utilize a lot of these features. You guys have no idea how excited I am as a content creator, and can't wait to see these developers launch these features in their game in the future and see how you guys interact with them, as I think this will be the future of how people interact with their favorite content creators. But moving on to my final overall thoughts with the Google for Games Developer Summit, it is really positive. There was even more news like Destiny 2 being made in just 6 months' time, which is pretty amazing for a game that size, and made me even more hopeful for all these ports coming over to Stadia. But honestly, the biggest overall takeaway from this is that this platform is not only here to stay, but it's going to be pretty big in my opinion. At the start of the live stream for the keynote, John Justice mentioned some statistics about mobile gaming and how big it has gotten and how it's projected to make over 100 billion in revenue in 2021. Google is in the forefront right now of innovation with cloud gaming, and I can guarantee you something right now. In the future, when Stadia is fully realized, people who are playing their games on Stadia aren't going to care what teraflops this thing's running at, or the fact that it is even being played on the cloud. All they're going to focus on is how a brand new game like Cyberpunk 2077, a game that typically requires an insane amount of hardware to run beautifully, is fully imagined on their mobile device like their phones or tablets. Right now, these dudes are ahead of the game, and they know that playing anywhere on anything and ease of accessibility are the key, and they are thinking way down the line. There is a reason why Xbox and Microsoft, PlayStation, and others are trying to make sure that they have a foothold in cloud gaming, and it's because this truly is the future. Now, while we didn't get the big news like the free base model launch, what we did receive, in my opinion, was far greater if you're an investor in not just Stadia, but cloud gaming itself. And that is the full assurance that we've made the right and early investment in something like Stadia, and to feel really excited about its future, because I, for one, am. And this is coming from a guy who's always been an avid PC gamer. But alright guys, let me know down in the comments your thoughts on all of this. Are you guys disappointed that no base model launch date or new games were talked about? Or were you guys encouraged with all this information that came out of this? Let me know down in the comments as I'll be personally responding. And if you guys could smash the like button, I'd really appreciate it. And sub to the channel for more Stadia news and games coverage, as well as hit that notification bell. I'm Sunny at Cloud Gaming X, and like always, I'll catch you guys in the cloud.